Hello, welcome back to a Fortnight on the Isle, my bi-weekly update series where I can finally stop talking about a couple of the books here that I'm currently reading and actually talk about a couple of other books that I'm reading, which, to be completely honest, is actually a little bit of an overstatement because I haven't really been reading even though I've had a heck of a lot of time off as of recently, not least because of election week in the United States. No comment on anything regarding that. Let's just talk about the reading, what little of it I have done. No need to dilly-dally along. For the reading, I did, of course, finally finish up both Lord of Chaos and Witchy Eye. If you want a little bit more about those, you can watch my monthly reading wrap-up and TBR video, which would have come out last Tuesday, I believe it was, and that basically summarizes my thoughts. I've also been talking about these books on Fortnite on the Isle for the last like 3 of these videos or something like that, so no need to talk more on those, quite frankly. For some of the stuff that I've been reading otherwise, I did finally start Ruin, and I thought there was a chance I might be, closer to 3/4 of the way through this one by the time I was here recording this video, but I'm not quite there. I'm still a little less than a little less than halfway, I say. I'm probably, like a third of the way through or something? I don't know the exact percentage. Like I said, I just haven't been reading very much recently. Last few days I've had off. I just haven't read. Wednesday, because I was still recovering to some degree from Tuesday for reasons we won't specify. On Thursday, because I was still recovering from lack of sleep, I woke up and just could not stay awake for basically any of the morning, so I didn't read then. And then on Friday, because I was spending my whole morning listening to music rather than reading. So today I read a couple chapters more. I've been really enjoying the start of Ruin, but it's a little bit slower going than Valor is. Not necessarily in a bad way, just in a different way. And I think the chapter length has a lot to do with that. I'm sure I'll give you guys an update on this in just a couple of weeks' time when I hopefully have probably finished it by then. At this point, like I said, I thought I'd be a lot further by the time I was recording this video, but didn't quite happen that way. The other thing that I did read over the last fortnight was Volume 3 of Monster. I guess I must have started this very shortly after the last one of these updates or something like that, and then read it rather quickly, all things considered. I thought I had a pretty big break in between the two, but I can't find any recent Fortnite on the Isles when I mentioned starting this. So I guess I didn't start this at any other point, and I read it all this fortnight. If so, it didn't quite feel that way. It's pretty long fortnight, but that is all of the reading that I've gotten through. I suppose I should say Volume 3 of Monster. I think the grand total of it is probably my least favorite of the 3 volumes so far, but it did have some higher highs than Volume 2 had, so that's how I feel about that. For the bi-weekly writing, there's also not a whole lot to really talk about. I didn't get anything done in the Reign of Ash for the last couple weeks. Work has been pretty busy and crazy recently, and with the time off, I just haven't been doing anything. Similar to not really reading much, I haven't been writing very much either. We'll talk a little bit more on why this is in a bit, but I did write 4,000 words in book review stuff, so that was 2,300 words for the Lord of Chaos review, 1,500 words for the Witchy Eye review, and then a quick little 250 word snippet of just my general thoughts on Monster Volume 3. So not a whole lot to talk about there, but just a little bit worth mentioning. Didn't write anything for movie reviews because I didn't watch anything. I didn't write anything. Well, I wrote a little bit for music reviews, but it's kind of an undeterminable amount because I'm updating my Fit for an Autopsy discography ranking to hopefully release that pretty soon here in the wake of their newest album release. And updating because I originally had like a 1,200 word blog or something that had my ranking of the albums from a couple years ago when their previous album came out, but I'm updating that, so I'm not writing it from scratch or anything. I have actually no idea how many words I wrote for that, but I'm going to continue updating that this week here, finish that up and get that review up probably next Monday, hopefully. That's definitely the goal on that one. And then I haven't written anything for game reviews, but again, we'll talk a little bit more on that here pretty shortly. For the coming releases, videos that are coming out on the channels over the next couple of weeks, the main channel has some videos that I'm pretty excited about. First up, this Tuesday on the 12th is my review for Lord of Chaos. That one is similar to New Spring in that it is a semi-spoiler review. I'm getting to the part of the series where it's hard to really talk pretty much anything about whatever book I'm reviewing without at least mentioning moments from previous in the series, pretty big moments from previous in the series, so I can't just call it spoiler free. And I also very minorly reference some stuff in the book itself that, you know, it's a little bit more in specifics, not mentioning any scenes specifically, but going into some of the details enough that I can't call it spoiler free. So I think that review is actually one of my favorite ones that I've done, so that is going to be coming out Tuesday. I have, in my opinion, a pretty special video coming out on Thursday, which is re-reviewing both The Road and No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. And I know I'm kind of milking Cormac McCarthy content at this point in time, especially with so many videos coming out in so short a time on the topic. But this video is one I wanted to do after rereading The Road and then rereading No Country for Old Men to basically finish off my McCarthy journey. I wanted to talk about these first two books that first turned me off of and then turned me on to the bibliography, and then talk about them in a context that was like, okay, I've now reread these here at the end of reading everything by McCarthy. Let's talk about this in this kind of context. That's what that video is, and I enjoyed doing that one, giving The Road a second chance essentially and enjoying it more the second time, and then also clarifying some things about No Country for Old Men, some thoughts that updated there as well. Similar to this sort of topic is going to be next Sunday on the 17th, which is going to be hopefully my last Cormac McCarthy video, or at least my last for quite some time. I don't have any other ideas for how to milk some of that stuff out. It is going to be a tier list / ranking video, but mostly a tier list video of Cormac McCarthy's bibliography. So all 12 novels plus the one play that I read, I'm going to be talking about in that one. Either way, next Tuesday on the 19th is going to be my review for Valor by John Gwynne, so the second book, Faithful and the Fallen. Now that I have started the third book here, my review for the second book is coming out. That one is also another review that I really enjoyed doing. I was just so excited to talk about that book after finishing it, and with how much I loved it, I really enjoyed reviewing that book. That one's one of my longer reviews, similar to the Lord of Chaos review. These two reviews that I'm pretty happy with. They're both on the longer side for me at this point, so I hope people are excited to check that out. Next Thursday on the 21st is going to be my review for Night Shift by Stephen King, the short story collection. Another longer review, but that's because I talk about a lot of the stories independently of each other, specifying things that I felt about each individual short story rather than just covering the whole collection as one body, because I feel like that's a little bit unfair when you're talking a collection of like 20 short stories or something like that. But that is going to be the main channel for the next couple weeks. On the second channel, episodes 16 and 17 of the Kingdom Hearts 2 Let's Play are coming out on the 15th and 22nd, respectively, revisiting the worlds of Olympus Coliseum and the Pirates of the Caribbean world, as I am, you know, working through this sort of second act of the game, we can say, following the Hollow Bastion stuff, just revisiting a bunch of planets before we get to the end game. So was able to play quite a bit with Josh last time, and since these revisiting world sections are significantly shorter than the first time around, we were able to get a lot done. So I now have episodes coming out at least through the first Friday of December without any issues, so that feels pretty good. For entertainment talk, the main thing that I've been doing the last couple weeks, and what I've primarily been wasting my time on instead of like reading or writing or whatever, has been playing The Last of Us Part 2, which I did not think I would ever say that I was playing this game actively for myself. But in preparing for rebooting a critical analysis, I wanted to be able to do that starting with The Last of Us Part 2, because that was, of course, the first critical analysis video that I posted here on the main channel, and was also the first video essay that I ever did, and really made me discover that I liked doing that format. And if you've seen, you know, some of the other episodes in a critical analysis, or if you've watched any of my music reviews or year-end wrap-up stuff on the second channel at this point, you know that I really like doing scripted stuff. If you've read any of my book reviews on Goodreads, you know I enjoy doing this sort of scripted, in-depth review type of thing. And I've wanted to reboot a critical analysis ever since I, you know, will say unintentionally discontinued it for the sake of time back when I did. I've been wanting to get back to it for years now, and rebooting it starts with The Last of Us 2, so I'm actually playing it and going to be re-reviewing it at some point soon. I've spent nearly 25 hours in the game, and I still have like a third of it more to go, or maybe even more than a third of it left, which is tiring, but I'll get through it. Either way, that is what I have to say for entertainment talk. For music talk, there's also a little bit to talk about here, so we'll try to plow through these as quickly as possible, which I usually say and always fail to do. One of my favorite bands before I turn put out a new single called And She Was Beautiful on Halloween, and single was incredible. I've listened to it a ton, listened to it a lot more than anything from the album that already released this year, which I reviewed on the second channel, and it's better than anything on that album as well. It definitely harkens back to some of my favorite moments from Lovelorn, while also harkening back to a general vibe, I guess, that Claustrophobic had, which is really, really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys do more. All That Remains released a new single called Forever Cold. I've liked all of the singles they've released up to this point, and Forever Cold is no different. Sort of the same thing with Starset, released a new single called Dystopia, which is fun. Looking forward to seeing what the new album generally balances off to sound like, especially since they have a little bit more of a core thing going on with these singles. Like I said, looking forward to that. Counterparts released an EP called Heaven Let Them Die. The last one of these bands' albums was not necessarily my thing. A lot of people were raving about it, really saying it was one of the best of that year, and I didn't really get it a whole lot. I didn't think it was bad, but it wasn't anything super exceptional to me. This EP, however, was very good. It was kind of a surprise drop. I don't think they even released any singles for it. It just came out of nowhere, and it's very good, actually. As for albums, several albums came out the last couple weeks. A band called Volo, which I did not know about until this album dropped, basically, and people started talking about it, released a new album called Friend of a Phantom, which is pretty good. I've been told to go back and check out some of their back catalog, and I think I'll definitely enjoy them a lot more now that I know the sort of style they are. At first, I wasn't sure what even genre they sort of fit in, so when I was listening to Friend of a Phantom, I was like, this isn't what I was expecting at all. Now that I know what to expect, I think I'll like it more next time. Skillet released their new album called Revolution, which is surprisingly good, actually. It's a lot better than their previous album, which was, oh man, what was it called? I always forget. Dominion, that's what it was called. It was such a forgettable album, I never even remember the title of it. I always forget it exists in the first place. But Revolution was actually pretty good. The first couple songs are not good. There's another couple songs in there that are pretty okay, but it has a lot of really great songs, actually, surprisingly great songs for this modern era of Skillet. I've always been a Skillet fan since I discovered them, but they've kind of gone downhill trajectory since basically Unleashed, and I'm an Unleashed apologist like nothing else. The new album's a lot better than Dominion, so that is cool. Make Them Suffer released a self-titled record. Similar thing that I'm going to say as Skillet here to some degree, in that I think that this self-titled album was a lot better than their last album. I also like their new female vocalist a lot better than the previous one, so something about this release definitely clicked for me that the previous one didn't, and I thought the previous one was very overrated. This one I think is actually pretty great. A couple songs that aren't quite hitting as hard as the others, but I really enjoyed the overall product. The Browning released a new album called Omni, which was quite short, only about, 26 minutes or something like that, compared to the normal 40 plus minutes of their records, which was a little surprising, but Omni was good. I enjoyed it, and the mixing and mastering on this one was a lot better than End of Existence. End of Existence I listened to a couple of times. I should go back to it, make sure I wasn't just crazy, because when that album dropped, I was like, this album sounds terrible. The songwriting and everything was perfectly fine, enjoyable, because I really liked the Browning. I thought it was a good album, but the mixing on it was not to any standard that I thought was, up to par for a band that had released 4 albums prior to that. So maybe I should go check that out again. Omni, though, was definitely perfectly fine. I enjoyed it as well. State Champs, a pop punk band, something very different than everything I've talked about up to this point, also released a self-titled record, and it's good. I like that they're exploring a little bit more with certain instrumentation and certain songwriting techniques that are a lot different from the general pop punk formula, or at least have a little bit more like dissonance and sort of clashiness that sort of brings out the musicality a little bit more than just generic pop punk tends to do. But I can't say I loved the album. There are a few pretty great songs, but overall, it's okay. But if you like pop punk, you're gonna like it. That's me. I like pop punk a lot, so I liked it. But that is all I'm going to talk about for this video. Here I thought it was finally going to be a short one, but entertainment talk and music talk always get the better of me. So I'm going to end that one there. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I have a little bit more to talk about in the reading and writing sphere next time around, but we will see about that in a couple of weeks. Either way, my review for Lord of Chaos comes out on Tuesday. I hope you're excited for that. You've been following me along with the Wheel of Time journey. Either way, I'll be back in the next video, and I hope to see you there.